Welcome to One Girl in All the World, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer rewatch podcast where we recap each episode in order and discuss. I'm Ashley, Buffy superfan.
Kimmy, Buffy newbie.
Not Buffy, Kimmy newbie. You can find us on all major podcast apps, YouTube and Instagram, with new episodes on Tuesdays. That was my favorite when you were like, I'm Buffy, Kimmy newbie. I'm not even Kimmy anymore. I've become Buffy.
I mean, are we at the point now where we're almost halfway through the series, right?
I mean, we're closer. Season 4 is halfway.
Season 4 is the halfway. Okay.
Yeah, so we probably have about a season to go before
I can almost say I'm Buffy.
Yeah, there you go. He's just become one with Buffy. Now, then you're just saying that you're Buffy. I like it. That's the goal. To not know the difference. To not know where Buffy ends and you begin. So things are going well. My plan.
Yes. Well, I will say this episode was, wow.
Yeah, dark, heavy.
But so good.
Entertaining. Yeah, I'm like, Mm-hmm. So today we're talking about Helpless, which is like after the kind of more... I mean, Buffy always has like a tongue-in-cheek, like lighter side to the episodes, but it's been a while since we've had one dark.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very, very dark. And I will say that like the question that you asked last week, there's no way I would have been able to guess that answer ever.
Yeah, you never would think.
Not in a million years.
Yeah, so Helpless originally aired on January 19th, 1999, written by David Fury and directed by James A. Conner, so names that are familiar to us. And the synopsis is, for her upcoming 18th birthday, Buffy eschews her friends' offer of a big party, hoping to celebrate with a quiet reflection and a traditional trip to the ice show with her father. But unbeknownst to Buffy, preparations are being made for a life-threatening rite of passage that drains the Slayer of her powers and then entraps her with a powerful vampire foe that she must defeat in a defenseless state in order to pass the test. So...
I have so many things to say, but let's
as we get there, we'll get them. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Step by step.
There's a lot.
A lot to unpack this week.
Yeah. So we start the episode in the mansion. So obviously Buffy and Angel are hanging out again.
They're friends.
They
can be friends.
They've stopped their cold turkey. We're not going to see each other BS. So they are hanging out again, and it looks like they were having a little picnic, just for her, I guess, because he doesn't eat food. He can, but he doesn't. And they're like sparring. So they're having like
I wrote fighting, but training.
Yeah. They're training. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it gets a little
heated.
Yes. In the sexual way. Mm-hmm. In like the down yonder way. And it gets a little bit awkward. And they're like, sad. Oh yeah, we're not getting satisfied. No. And they're very awkward. And Buffy's gonna leave, but Angel asks her if he's going to see her this weekend because he knows it's her birthday. And he's like, you probably have plans.
Also, he asks if she has a date. I was like, Angel, really?
It was cute. It was kind of, I have to get,
yes,
I've moved on from my first billion rewatches of the show. I've moved on from Angel and Buffy, but I thought this was cute. When he's like, do you have a date? And she's like, yes, actually, I do have a date.
With an older man.
An older man, very handsome, likes me to call him daddy. And he's like, oh, it's your father. It is your father, right? So I thought that was cute. Like, very, like, innocent, jealous Angel is adorable to me.
Yeah.
So she's, her and her dad, every year they go to the ice show.
That's cute. That's a cute tradition.
Yeah, and she loves it. Because, like, this is something Buffy and I have in common. We love figure skating.
Mm-hmm.
So, she is...
And she hasn't seen her dad for a while.
Yeah, we get that impression for sure. And, she loves it. And she's, like, really looking forward to, like, the fun. Because things have been a bit heavy lately for her. Mm-hmm. And they're just going to get heavier, unfortunately. She's looking forward to that. So we go to the library, and Giles is doing some training with Buffy on crystals. Like, identifying crystals and what their powers are or what they can do. So that's what the training that we walk into.
And he mentions something about, I can't remember the question he asks her, but she replies with, so how do you know if someone's oar is dirty?
Yeah.
Somebody come by with a finger and write, wash me on it?
Yeah. I think she says I think it was an amethyst.
Yes.
And then he says one of the powers is cleansing the aura. Right. And that's what she says. Yeah. So that was funny. And she obviously is not taking it very seriously.
No, because it seems silly. I agree.
And Giles was kind of like, oh, come on. And she's like, really antsy. She thinks she should be out patrolling because Faith is apparently on one of her unscheduled walkabouts. So Faith
What does that mean? She just gone?
She just kind of like hit the road for a while, like just disappeared.
That's so weird. And she doesn't have a watcher.
No. And they kind of are just like,
I haven't reassigned it.
I guess that's
I feel
okay.
like we just don't even really, like, we've barely seen her.
Yeah, and she never really got a real one because Evelyn Post was faking it. You know, like she wasn't actually.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, like she wasn't actually sent by the council, so the council just never sent anybody.
Exactly. No. She's just on her own.
Yeah. So, Giles is still supposed to be like being her watcher, remember? Because he kind of like took over both of them until. But he says that Faith's not interested in training, so I guess he's just
giving up on her. Well, not giving up, but letting her doing his. He's not going to force.
Yeah, he puts more pressure on Buffy. I guess with Faith, he's like,
whatever.
If you don't want to do it, I'm not going to hunt you down. We don't see really any of those conversations though. But
okay.
So he puts this big blue crystal in front of Buffy and tells her to like concentrate on it, and that's the end of the scene. So we don't see anything else. We go to the playground where those kids were murdered.
Yeah, I saw that. I was just like weird because I feel like that was the first time we saw it was the last episode, and then
we already have the set up. Let's put the fight there. We have everything set up. Like let's just use the set again real quick.
Why not?
People will forget that the murder happened there, or the
definitely did not forget
supposed murder. So Buffy's fighting a vampire, and
looks weird all of a sudden.
Yeah, she says later that she feels a case of the disease, so she gets very dizzy. And all of a sudden, like, can't fight this guy.
No, this guy totally takes over and starts kicking her butt.
Almost stakes her with her own stake.
Yep. Oh my God, that was something to watch.
And it's kind of like a fluke that she even stakes him.
Yeah.
Like, he kind of falls on her and she has the stake.
He fumbles. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He trips or whatever.
Yeah, and then he's staked. So it was a close call for sure. Mm-hmm. If that hadn't happened, it probably would have ended badly. So she kind of just is like, that's weird. And dusts herself off, literally, and goes home. So we go to the credits, and we come back in the library where Buffy is throwing at a target.
She's trying to do, like, darts, but with knives, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we see it, and she's not hitting anything. Like, wow, they're everywhere.
Yeah. And Giles comes in, and she's like, look at this, like, something, like, I got a case of the dizzy. This vampire almost got me last night. Mm-hmm. And he says, you might just be coming down with the flu. Like, he's not concerned.
No. Seems a little weird, though. Because she says she's off her game. I don't know. Like, so at this point for me, I was kind of like, I already thought it was a little bit weird. Because I was like, I feel like if she was getting the flu, she would kind of feel like it. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, she would feel something other than just...
And we saw her get the flu, remember? Like, when she was in the hospital.
Exactly.
And... she didn't, like, lose her powers. She just kept going until she passed out during the patrol.
Exactly. Yep. So I thought that was kind of a weird. Yeah. I was already on guard with that one.
Red flag, right?
And she says I can't get sick, and then she wants to go to the ice show with her dad.
Yeah, and she says that when she says her game is like lost, she's like it's left the country. It's in Cuernavaca, and I was like, where is that? And it's in Mexico, near Mexico City.
Oh really?
I looked it up because I was like, never heard of that place before.
No, me
either. So yeah. It left the country and went to Mexico. She said she can't get sick. She wants to go to the ice show with her dad. And he says, well, why don't you just like stop patrolling for the next few days? And like this statement doesn't seem as much in the moment, but in hindsight, you're like, okay, he wants her to stay off the street.
Exactly. And of course, I didn't make that connection either when he said that at the time. I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we would have really honed in on that, we would have thought that's not something like Giles would say.
Yeah.
It's very un-Giles like actually.
Flippant about her concerns.
Yep.
So we go to the quad. Yeah, we go to the quad and she's telling they're trying to be like, what are you doing for your birthday? It's Oz, Xander, Willow, and Buffy. And Xander wants to have a party and she's like, no. Like, I have a bad history with birthdays and I'm going to try to avoid it this year. Plus, I'm going to the ice show with my dad, and it's like really cute. Like,
it is so cute, but Xander was like making her feel like it was cheesy.
I know.
I was not into. Was like,
and she's like kind of defending it, and I like Oz. He's like, no, it's not like girly at all. It's like, or it's cool. It's not uncool at all. It's like it's water, but it's not. On the ice. And so she's like, I like it. Maybe it's fun, whatever. I'm too old.
I thought that was cute. Exactly.
Because I get cotton candy in a program and all this, and it's really cute.
It was super cute.
Yeah, so she's definitely wants no party.
No, she wants quiet reflection for her 18th.
Quiet reflection. Yeah, and ice skates. So Buffy comes home. This part is so sad. Comes home
really
into her kitchen. Her mom's cooking, and there's like a big, like a balloon and flowers and a card. And she's like, "Oh, I got early birthday stuff." And Joy says that like basically has the tickets stuck to the front that her dad's not taking her because of work.
So crappy.
And Buffy is so crushed.
She is very crushed. She was really looking forward to this. She never sees her dad. This is a tradition they have. And like for her, because she's had such bad birthday luck, this is like a nice comfort for her. This helps her bring some sense of normalcy to a day where she's not looking forward to it. So this is the thing she was looking forward to, and he just took it away from her.
Yeah, and even it was so extra sad because in the scene before when she said, "I can't get sick" to Giles, she's like, "I can't cancel on my dad. It would break his heart." And he canceled on her.
Yeah, he's the worst.
Yeah, so he, Joyce is like, "Oh, can I, like, maybe I can take you?" She's like, "No, it's fine." Like, and she just
also Joyce is like, "I can
up.
try to get time off work."
Yeah.
It's like, so it's not like Joyce can just go.
Yeah. And she just crumples up the note. She doesn't even read it.
No.
And she
he doesn't deserve that from her.
Yeah.
He doesn't deserve her energy.
So then we go to the Sunnydale Arms, which seems to be like an old boarding house, like what's the word I'm looking for? Vacant. It's not the word I'm looking for, but
abandoned,
yeah.
Okay.
Boarding house, and there's people preparing something. They're doing like work on the house. They're like building
bricking
up doorways.
Windows.
Yeah, windows, doorways. And this old guy, we do find out his name is Quentin later, so I'll say he's Quentin. This old British guy tells the other two guys that they can sleep now. They can sleep in shifts. And that they only need about like 5 or 6 hours left of like work to get everything ready. And they look over at this like locked closet, kind of, I guess. Like it's kind of a cage, but it's like wooden in the front. And it's like locked up. And obviously there's something behind there. And then he says like the Slayer's preparation is almost ready. So we're like, uh-oh. This isn't good.
No, that sounds weird. No, I'm not a fan of whatever's happening.
And then another, like, so sad is, like, in the library, they're doing the training again with the crystals, and Buffy is so trying to hint to Giles.
Yeah, can you take me to this ice thing? Because you're basically, like, my dad. You're my father figure.
Oh my
and,
gosh.
like, can you just take me? And he's like, just focus on the crystals.
Yeah,
what
he's
is wrong with
distracted.
you?
He's distracted. And it's so sad, because she's like, yeah, something families do together is one might take their daughters or their student or their slayer. Like, she's like so sad that she like wants him to take her.
Yeah.
And then he's not like getting it like at all. Like
because he's preoccupied. He's not really paying attention to her.
That would have been adorable.
It would have been adorable. So then he's getting her to focus on this crystal, and he hypnotizes her. The crystal hypnotizes her. The crystal and Giles hypnotize her. And then, so here's the thing. He injects her with something.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we take a medical break for a second? Medical professional break. Okay.
Yes,
so
I knew you'd have stuff to say.
people watching this, first of all, you do not inject in someone's forearm unless it's a TB test, which this clearly was not. Also, the gauge of the needle that he used would never go in a forearm.
It was big, right?
Huge. Oh my God.
Right, yeah. I was
like,
you got to see it on the camera, Kimmy.
Maybe we would put this in someone's thigh. Like,
he's a watcher, not a doctor. Okay.
It's just okay. But I mean, like, what are you injecting someone's forearm with? This is so weird to me. Okay.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah, that was a big needle.
Yes. But, in the wrong spot.
Yeah. And then also before that, she's talking about like she's still not defending, but like trying to like talk up the ice show. And she says, she mentions a ice skater, Brian Boitano.
Brian Boitano. Wait, you didn't know who that was? Wait.
No, I just pronounced his name wrong.
Oh, I was like, South Park does a whole song about him.
Yeah. So he's an Olympic gold medalist, and a lot of them are, and they like after they retire from competing, because you don't, like in most like sports and like athletes, like your career.
You retire young.
Yeah, you retire young, and then what do you do? So a lot of people like do these like stars on ice and like, all that kind of stuff. So, actually, I looked up. He's from Mountain View.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, he's
he's near our hood.
Right by us. Yeah. And, so he injects her with something. And then he kind of puts his, like, waves his hand in front of her face, and she, like, snaps out of it. She's like, oh, sorry, I zoned out again. So, like, whatever he did, he broke the contact with it.
The hypnotism.
Yeah. In the quad, Angel, sorry, I put A, so I had my in the quad, Amy, we find out that Amy is still a rat and living with Willow. And Willow's loving it.
Well, that was so funny. She kind of deserves it for turning herself into a rat and abandoning them. So whatever.
And she's living a good life. Like, Willow said she bought her a little bell.
Very good care of her.
She loves having a little pet. And Buffy's like, we have to turn her back. Like, you can't just, like, keep her, Willow. And then we see that this guy is talking to Cordelia.
Oh, and he's being a jerk.
Yeah, big time. And
she's taking it in stride. Wow. She impressed me because if someone was acting like that to me, I would be freaked out.
He grabs her. Says that he stood her up. She stood him up at the bronze. And she's like, I'm the rebound. Like, don't take my flirting seriously.
And he roughs her up.
He grabs her, and then Buffy comes up and it's like, oh, no, you don't. And she tries to, like, grab him off of her.
And she can't. She's not strong.
And then he shoves her, like, hard onto a bench, and she falls off the bench, like, crazy. And at least Cordelia tries to start hitting him, but...
yeah, but I mean, like, how is this acceptable behavior?
Not. Yeah. Not, for sure.
Ever.
It's horrible. But Buffy's, like, shocked that
she couldn't do anything. So
in the hallway, she catches up with Giles.
She's complaining, and he's completely unfazed.
Yeah, she's worried. She's like, I just got, like, shoved over by some guy.
She's like, I'm weak. I have no strength, no coordination. And he's just acting weird.
She got shoved over by some no-neck. Giles isn't worried, but if you notice in this scene, he cannot make eye contact with her.
I didn't notice because I still didn't really understand, like, what had happened. I mean, I did because I knew what happened in the previous scene, but I was just like, what is going on?
Yeah, he like barely looks her in the eye in this whole scene. When he's telling her, I'm sure it's fine, I'm sure we'll figure it out, and belittling it, like, he can barely look her in the eye.
And he's like, I mean, at this point, I'm low-key hating him because I'm like, what are you doing to her?
He's doing something to her and not telling her. Yeah, we know that so far. So at the Sunnydale Arms, Quentin is sitting and having tea with Giles. So
which I'm like, what is going on here? What is this?
Yeah. And we find out that Quentin and these other two guys work for the council.
Okay. And so Giles?
Co-workers.
Yes. So Giles is trying to say that he doubts the chrysanthemum. That's what he said?
What else was the context for that? I don't remember that.
I don't know. I said Giles has doubts, chrysanthemum. And then not easy. Shoot, I can't understand my handwriting.
I'm not sure what that is. I don't remember that.
Okay, he said something about chrysanthemum. Is that a crystal? I think it's a crystal. It's the crystal, right? Chrysanthemum?
I thought it was a flower.
But I think it's I'm going to Google it.
I don't know. But we do find out, basically, when the Slayer turns 18, they have to basically go into a cage match with a vampire without any powers. And it's not just about a power, like a Slayer isn't just about having physical power. It's about having, like, cleverness and being able to, like, think on your feet and all this stuff. So basically,
it's a flower stone.
Look at that. We were both right. Can you believe it?
It's pretty.
I said flower too. Flower stone.
You did, yes. No, you're right, because I also think of it as a flower, but I swear he said that. Anyway, so yes.
Okay.
Turns 18. They have to go through this weird test.
Yeah, and the Watcher's job is to administer the stuff that makes her lose her power.
Which is so crazy. I can't believe they do this. And Giles even says this is an archaic exercise in cruelty.
Giles is doing it, but he's not happy about it. And he's trying to convince them that it's not necessary, like not to do it, but he's still, for now, he's going along with it. But
I mean, it sounds like he doesn't have a choice.
Yeah. So they're there and they start hearing like yelling and screaming from that closet. So the two guys come over, unlock it, and there's like a vampire in a straitjacket, like all like tied up. And he's
very
like,
creepy looking vampire.
Yeah. And they give him pills on like a long spoon so he can't get near them. And then gives him water on like a big long stick so nobody gets near him. And that kind of calms him down. So in the library, Willow's trying to help Buffy research what's going on with her because Giles has been no help. Yeah. And they're looking up, like, is it a spell? Is it a curse? Like, what's going on? Yeah. And I don't know much about Superman, but I looked up this little argument the debate that Oz and Xander are having, and Oz was actually correct in what he says about the kryptonite.
Oz is correct. Yes.
About like what color. Yeah, Oz is correct.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't have to look that one up.
Yeah, I didn't know. And Buffy and Willow have a quick little conversation about what if it doesn't come back?
What if her powers never come back?
And Willow's like, if you didn't want to be the Slayer, you can't be the Slayer without this stuff, basically. So it could just open the door to normal life. And Buffy's like, maybe,
And she's like, Giles is still not being helpful. So.
Yeah, he comes in and she's like, anything? He's like, no. Thanks. Thanks, but nothing. Yeah. At the Sunnydale Arms, this is what it was called, right? Sunnydale Arms.
I just kept writing question mark the whole time, so.
In the very first scene that we see it, they see the sign in the front.
Oh, I missed that. I was probably frantically writing notes when it came up.
Yeah, Sunnydale Arms. The two guys that is not Quentin and Giles, there's Blair and something with an H, Hobart or something. I wrote it down somewhere. Anyway, they're taking shifts and sleeping, and Blair it's his turn. So the other guy lays down and Blair goes out, and the vampire starts screaming for his pills. And Blair gives him the pills, but the water glass is empty. So Blair goes into the kitchen to fill the water glass, and the vampire is able to start putting pressure or on the stitches of the straitjacket, so it starts coming apart. And Blair comes back and gives him his pills, but basically he's able to grab him.
Yeah. Well, he gets him to go closer. Yeah, he tricks him.
And he just has him by the throat.
He strangles him. Yep. Super creepy. Yeah. This whole episode gave me horror movie vibes. This was the first episode that it was very suspenseful and scary for me. The other episodes were nothing has really scared me before, but this one I was just like, oh my God.
Oh, cool.
It was super creepy.
Yeah. There will be a few more that are extremely creepy.
Oof, okay.
Not even oh, this is supposed to be a scary monster or whatever. There's especially one that creeps people out pretty bad.
Oh man. Okay.
It's next season though. So we're back at the mansion. Yeah. Angel gives Buffy a book for her birthday. Okay. He gives her the sonnets from the Portuguese, which is an 1850 novel, not novel, but a book of 44 love sonnets written by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Why would he think Buffy would like this?
I don't know. He was trying to be sweet, obviously.
Angel, I guess, is the kind of, I know people like this that give people gifts that they want them to have, but not that the person actually would enjoy. Do you know what I mean? Buffy, we know Buffy isn't really into poetry.
Yeah, or reading.
Yeah, or books of any kind. With the whole thing with Owen, she had to pretend that she knew stuff about Emily Dickinson, it didn't know poetry. So I don't understand why Angel would give her this. And she kind of was like, yo, it's beautiful,
Yeah, thanks.
He does sign it always in the front.
Yeah.
You saw that?
Yeah, I saw that.
And she's just not really excited. And he's like, yeah, you sound more excited when you got a severed arm in a box last year, if we remember. The arm of the judge.
Yeah. But she's distracted. She talks about her losing her powers.
Yeah, she's worried about who she'll be, who she'll become. And she said before, she's like, what do I have to offer the world and everything? I understand all of this the train her mind's on, but I also don't like when she's like, and why would you like me?
Yeah, I didn't like that either. But I feel stupid. The first part, at least, though, for her, it's just kind of a loss of sense of self, a loss of sense of purpose, which is a little, that's a really hard shift for anybody to make.
Yeah, and she says, someone that remains lame, I made someone that remained lame, let's call her Spordelia, look like a scholar compared to me. She's like, I was really shallow. And Angel kind of spills the beans that we've already seen in season 2, a flashback that he saw her be called, before she called, and that he loved her from watching her walk out of that school with a sucker.
Love at first sight, apparently.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, I just could see your heart then and everything. And they have this nice little moment, and then they're like, that was kind of gross. Talking about how he wanted to protect her heart, talking about a literal heart and stuff. It's just that scene. Yeah, it was a bit. It took a turn. But it made it a little bit lighter. So the Sunnydale Arms, the Blair is on the ground from being killed, and he turns. So he's
a vampire now.
He's a vampire.
Crap
bag. And Blair is playing on the other team now, and hacks. His name's Kurlik is the last name of the vampire.
So it's a brain.
Yeah, he gets him out and is like, "Hey, why don't you go grab your buddy that's sleeping in the other room?"
Oh God,
not good. And so we're in the same location, but time has gone by, and Giles arrives and is like calling for people, and like nobody's there.
Yeah, he's looking for Quentin.
Yeah,
wandering around.
He notices that he puts his hand down. There's blood on like the banister.
This should have been your first sign, Giles. Get out.
Yeah, the cage is empty. Yeah. And then he finds the other guy. I think it was Hobson or something. Finds him like blah, like spread out, like completely mutilated.
Almost vomits and runs out.
Yeah. I was surprised by that because I feel like Giles has seen some stuff and like that's what made him sick. But yeah, so he runs out because obviously this vampire is on the loose.
Yeah.
Buffy's walking home from Angel's on the street and gets like kind of like catcalled, like harassed by these two guys asking like how much for a lap dance.
Lap dance? That's so gross.
So she has to deal with like what as women do, like the real assholes, and then she has to also deal with the supernatural ones as well.
And this is something she didn't have to deal with normal men before, really.
Yeah,
like,
she could have
she didn't have to worry about it.
Swat them away like fly.
Yeah.
But so she's nervous and she's walking away from them, and then she runs into
the vampire,
the crazy one. And she immediately runs and is like screaming for someone to help her. She runs out into the street. She like, loses her coat in the midst of this. Yeah. And cars are just going around her.
Yeah, the first car doesn't even stop. Like you see a woman screaming in the middle of the road and you don't stop. That's
and
weird.
Eventually another car comes and it's Giles.
Yeah.
And she jumps in. And she takes off. But we see that Kurlik has her coat.
Yeah, right. It's red, right? Is it red?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you pick up on the little Red Riding Hood stuff through this episode?
Oh,
because later he is very heavy-handed later.
Nice, you're right. Now that you say it, I can see it. Okay,
so the coat is part of that.
Yeah.
At the library, Buffy is upset. She's got a little bit beat up.
Terrified of being
away. Trying to get away.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, I've seen too much now. Like I can't like be helpless. And Giles comes clean and he puts out the injection.
He shows her his injection kit. Yep. It's an organic compound. Muscle relaxants. Okay. And here's the thing. Adrenal suppressors.
Yeah.
So another medical break. Adrenal suppressors do make you weak and dizzy, and they make you so you can't do really anything at all. Yeah. So even if you gave that to a normal person, they would take away everything. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Continue. Perfect elixir to make a slayer weak. So obvious, of course, she feels extremely betrayed. Yeah.
She looks stricken.
Yeah, can't
She's
believe it.
in complete disbelief.
Yeah, she can't believe it. And he says that he explains the test to her that we already know about. And he says that the vampire is Zachary Kralik, who murdered and tortured more than 12 women when he was a human. And that's before he was sent to a insane asylum. And then eventually was returned there to a vampire. And a little side note, David Fury, that's his nephew's name. That's where he just took his nephew's name and named the vampire that.
Oh, okay.
Named a vampire that's murdered women after you. How lovely. But he says the test is now invalidated because he's told her about it, so she'll be safe. But I don't even know if she's hearing any of this, really, or taking any of it on because she is so upset.
He tries to explain to her that she'll feel better in a few days. He talks about the test if the Slayer reaches her 18th birthday.
Yeah, for real.
The Slayer's disabled, and entrapped, and okay, so here's my thing. It's one thing to do all of the things that they're talking about, like to take away her powers and to try and get her to kill a vampire using her other
skills.
Thank you. Yes. But why do they have to get this vampire, this crazy vampire, this vampire on steroids, basically?
Yeah. It's also, why couldn't she have known about it? It doesn't give her an advantage, I feel like.
No.
Because she still doesn't have the power. And yeah, why does it have to be a really bad vampire? She's barely gotten away.
Can't just be a normal vampire? Exactly.
Barely gotten away from the normal ones.
Yep.
So yeah, good point. Is this where Cordy comes in?
Well, first,
not
Buffy
yet.
gets, she's furious, and
Yeah.
Giles just trying to yeah, I had to do this, and she wants to know how he could.
Mm-hmm.
How could he do that?
And then we go to Buffy's house, and Joyce is doing her bills, and hears a noise outside. Walks out onto the porch and sees a figure laying on the porch and with Buffy's coat.
Mm-hmm. So she thinks it's Buffy.
She thinks it's Buffy. Goes up to her, and it's the vampire. It's Kralik, not Kurlik. Kralik, and he's like, "Mother."
Yeah, just like the grandma.
Hello, mother.
Like,
yeah,
or like the wolf pretending to be. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So Cordy comes into the library.
Yes.
And is needing to research a this might have happened before the Joyce thing.
It did, but it's fine. Yeah.
Anyway.
Doesn't matter.
She basically gives Buffy a ride home because Buffy wants to leave and is upset and she can't go by herself. So
Cordelia was trying to come in to write a paper or something like that, though. And Buffy talks her into getting her ride home. And she's like, well, but if the world doesn't end, I'm going to need a note.
Yeah. She's like, oh, is the world ending? I was like, I'm not going to bother with this paper if the world's ending. So, yeah, Cordelia drives her home. And Buffy comes home and throws the flowers. She just walks through the back door and just swipes the flowers from her dad into the trash. Like, could she be any more betrayed by the father figures in her, and father figure in her life? Like,
exactly.
She was just disappointed in the men in her life.
She's over it.
Yeah. And so she goes into towards the front door. The front door is open, and there's a Polaroid of that vampire and her mom, and it says "come" on the back. Because Giles did say that that's where she was supposed to go. That's where he was going to send her. So she doesn't know where to go. Okay. So she goes upstairs, starts packing a bag of all of her weapons and everything. Very, very specifically showing us the holy water. Mm-hmm. Because that's important.
That was important.
Putting attention on the holy water. And then you notice how she picks it up and it's it's heavy.
She can barely carry it.
She can barely carry it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't even come that much in handy. The whole bag anyway. So at the Sunnydale Arms, Kralik is taking lots of Polaroids of Joyce.
That's kind of creepy.
Yeah, it is creepy. And he just kind of explains, my mother did this to me and all this stuff. And eventually he ate his mother. And he's like, but when your daughter comes, don't worry, I'm going to turn her. I'm going to make her into me. I'm going to make her like a vampire. And then she'll eat you. I'll have her eat you. So he's like, I have mother problems. I'm aware of this.
So
I got mom
creepy.
issues. Yeah, he is creepy.
And he's like, I don't want to kill Buffy. I just want to make her like me.
Yeah.
Wow.
She gets her and starts to explore it, but first she puts a stake in the door to kind of keep the door open. And as she's exploring, Blair comes out and finds the stake and pulls it out of the door. So Buffy knows someone's there and they know she's there.
Yep.
So she just was basically wandering around looking, to see what's up. At the library, Giles is trying to call Quentin, but Quentin shows up. And he basically is like, hey, I was looking for you. To let you know that, that monster got out and killed Hobson and turned Blair. I guess he just assumes Blair got turned because Blair wasn't there. We don't really... I don't think we had any evidence that Blair actually was turned.
I didn't catch that. Good catch.
But somehow he thinks he was turned. And he tells Quentin that it doesn't matter, the test is over, because he told Buffy. And Quentin's like, okay, well...
The test already begun.
Yeah, your Slayer went into the playing field 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, she entered the area 10 minutes ago.
And he's like, why did she do that? And he's like, I don't know. But she went in there because I was watching. And then Giles runs off to the Sunnydale Arms. Okay, so back at the Sunnydale Arms, Buffy is fighting Blair because Blair finds her. She mostly runs from him, is basically what I mean by fighting.
What else are you going to do?
Yeah. She pushes over a bookcase on him, hits him with things, just trying to get away from him.
Yep.
Kralik comes out, and this is where he really talks about the Little Red Riding Hood, says stuff about getting lost in the woods and coming to grandma's and bringing treats with all of her weapons and stuff. So this is when he's really heavily talking about the Little Red Riding Hood stuff. Mm-hmm. And then she pulls a cross on him, and I feel like it's supposed to be he's having an itch scratched, but it also seemed sexual.
Yeah, I thought it seemed very sexual too. It was.
Yeah, he's like,
pleasuring him.
lower. Ooh. But I think it was supposed to be like, oh, that's the spot as far as a scratch.
Ew.
But
that didn't come off correctly.
Like, I think, yeah, it was like, ooh.
It's kind of gross. Yeah, exactly.
Because he like enjoyed being burnt by the cross, like, which is pretty sadistic of him.
Messed up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's not your average vampire. I'll say that.
He was already like a monster before he was when he was alive. So usually
at least she's able to run away at this point, though.
Yeah,
she's able to get free.
Yeah, she gets away.
She locks herself in a room, and I don't know if that's the greatest plan, but
yeah, I mean, she opens a door and it's like just bricks. You know what I mean? So it's like it's like a fun house. That's not fun. House of Horrors.
Yeah, they were preparing this, so it would be like this for her. Like, this is terrible.
Yeah, she runs up the stairs and he grabs her by her feet, which rubs her, so she like falls and smashes her head on the stair and is trying to just scrabbling away from him. She goes into
She goes into a room.
She goes into a room and it's full of Polaroids of her mom.
It's so creepy.
Yeah, really creepy.
Like, this is kind of shocked. Yeah. I mean, there's actually no real connection, but something about this gives me like Silence of the Lambs vibes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, like the dark, like abandoned house where like things are creeping around in it.
And that's the cannibalistic stuff.
Yeah. It also gave me vibes of not the environment, but like the Polaroid thing. Like, remember that movie 1 Hour Photo with Robin Williams where he played like a
that was super creepy. Yeah. And that was such a weird role for him.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
he was like, I don't know, obsessed with that family.
Yeah, it's just like the Polaroids. I don't know. It made me think of 1 Hour Photo.
Yeah, okay.
Even though like there's no other really connection. This is a freaky movie. So yeah, she runs out into the hallway and Kralek's there. He grabs her. He almost bites her. She can really do nothing about it. But then he has like a head attack. I would even call it a headache.
Yeah, like we don't even really know what's going on with him and what these pills are and why he needs them.
Yeah. They're obviously drugging him to some degree.
But he wants them.
But he needs them. Like, he's addicted, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know, but I guess he's addicted.
Weird.
And he's like, my pills. And he's like trying to like get them off, get the cap off. And then she knows, like, okay, she grabs them because obviously he wants them. And she like jumps down a
laundry chute? It's like a laundry chute.
Yes.
Like an old school.
Yes. My aunt had, I think, did we have one in our house? I think when I was growing up, my aunt had one. Yeah.
Oh,
it just went from the second floor to the...
I've never seen one before.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
It just had a little door on it. It kind of looked like like you just pushed it, it went down, just whoop, and it just dropped down into the basement. So yeah, Buffy just throws herself down there, head first, and falls into the basement. And then she sees that her mom is down there. That's where Joyce is tied up and everything.
Yeah. And
she tries to get her mom undone, but then Kralek comes down and is like, my pills. And she just kind of like gives them up, like lets him have them. Mm-hmm. And we don't see the whole thing happen, but he takes the pills, he drinks the water that's there, and is like, oh yeah, and he's just going on, and Buffy's just waiting. And we find out that she had filled the glass of water with holy water.
Oh my god. He starts like burning from the inside.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was really Buffy. Creative. That was a creative kill.
Well, this is what this is what they wanted. They wanted her to use her wit, her intelligence, to defeat him, and she did, but wow.
Yeah, and he's just like until he just disintegrates, because
it was pretty creepy.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. So yeah, he's dead, obviously. And then she's trying to get Joyce out, and then Blair, we forgot about Blair. Blair runs in, and Giles is right behind him and stakes him, like attacks him, so he saves.
Way to go, Giles, but a little too late. Too late.
Yeah. So at the library, Quentin's there, Buffy and Giles, and Buffy's looking traumatized.
Yep.
Has like a pretty massive head wound, among some, I'm sure, other things that we just don't see. And Quentin's like, congratulations, you passed.
And she's like, do I get a gold star?
She's pretty pissed, as you would be.
She's so pissed.
And Giles is pissed. He's like, the test is over. Like, leave now. Like, he's like,
she said, I think you better leave town before I get my strength back.
Yeah, she's not a fan. And he says, well, she passed, but you didn't, because you told her about it.
Yep.
And he says, your feelings for her have like clouded your judgment. You have a father's love for the child, which makes you useless to the cause, which I love. So sweet, because he does love her as a child.
He does. Yeah,
that's why he had such problems with this.
Yeah.
And so he
I
leaves.
see. She perks up minutely at that. I see her perk up.
She's hearing it.
A little bit.
She's hearing it. Yeah. And that Giles is fired.
Yeah, he's relieved of his effective immediately. He's relieved of his watcher duties.
Yeah. So Giles has been fired, which is insane and a big thing, a big deal.
Very curious to know how this progresses.
Yeah. So yeah, and he says that you shouldn't have any more contact with her, and he's like, well, that's not going to happen. I'm not going anywhere. So he's going to stay there and be involved. He's like, yeah, I figured you'd say that, but when her new watcher comes, you better not get in his way.
You can't interfere, yeah.
Can't interfere. So who's that going to be? What's that going to be?
And he's like to Buffy, congratulations again, and she's like, fight me.
Like she is pissed. So he leaves, and she's trying to like kind of clean herself up, like dab her like head windery, and she does let Giles come over and do it. So I think it's like a bit of a peace offering, and she accepts the peace offering of like helping her tend to her wounds and stuff.
Yeah.
In Buffy's kitchen, Willow especially just cannot believe that Giles was fired. And, Buffy's like, well, don't forget, he's still the librarian. So he still has a job. He'll still be there. She doesn't think much is going to change. And she's like, yeah, I did. The important thing is I kept up my tradition of, like, a horrible birthday. Like,
gut-wrenching horror.
Yeah, for my birthday. So that's the important thing. She just wants to get her, she doesn't have her strength back. Because he did say it would only, we forgot to mention that, he said it only lasts a few days. Like, once they stop giving the injections, it would only last a few days.
Yeah, so she can't even open a jar.
A jar of peanut butter. And of course, Xander's like, you need help with that, little lady? So she gives it to him. She's like, you're enjoying this too much. And he's like, oh, sometimes you see a big, strong man. And he can't get it open either.
Yeah.
And I like when as soon as it blacks out to the credits, he says, little help with that, Will? Or can you give me help with that, Will? So he needs Willow to open it for him. So and that's the end of the episode. So yeah, very dark episode.
Very dark, but so good.
It was very
really
good.
Kept my attention the whole time.
It was very good.
This episode perked me back up after the last one. So after the last one, I was pretty disappointed. I'm not going to lie. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. What was the last one?
The gingerbread one.
Oh, gingerbread. Yeah. Gingerbread. So my favorite quote was, your affection for your charge makes you incapable of clear and impartial judgment. You have a father's love for the child, and that makes you useless to the cause. I just thought that was sweet. I mean, it's mean, sweet. But what he's saying is that he can see how much Giles cares for her. Yeah. Not as a watcher, as a father. Yeah. He loves her. And I just think that's so cute and sweet. I always have though it's gone through bumpy, this is a bump in the road for Buffy and Giles. We've gone through them before. They will go through more, but I've always loved their relationship. Yeah, definitely. It's a constant. And then my favorite scene was the Buffy, Quint, and Giles, their last scene. So basically when he was saying all that, when Giles gets fired and everything, and Buffy's sitting there all beat up, and she's basically threatening Quentin and all that. That was my favorite scene. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I had a tie with my favorite lines. The one was about, how do you know if someone's aura is dirty? Does somebody come by with a finger and write, wash me on it? That's good. Then also I really have to give Cordelia the kudos for but if the world doesn't end, I'm going to need a note. Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of funny lines in this, but those were some of the funny ones.
I definitely clung on to the funny ones. I really did appreciate the humor breaks that they tried to give us.
Yeah, usually there's more. Usually it's a better balance. This one was
just very...
But it was just, there was way dark. More angst and dark in it, the dark episode for sure.
And we had the same favorite scene.
Okay, cool. Yeah. That's a good one. So my stake rating was a 4.8. Ooh. I like that we're getting more about the council because it's a whole governing body that we don't know much about, but it has a lot of power and rules a lot about slayers and watchers and everything, has a lot of influence, makes all the rules. And we haven't really met anybody from the council. Gwendolyn Post was in the council as a watcher, but the higher ups in the council. Right. So we've met Quentin, who runs the council. And of course, Hobson and Blair, who are maybe they're watchers in training or were, but kind of figuring out more about what the council is about. That's I like to see that like
Yeah.
expanding that world. That we don't just like, it's not just something we just never learn anything else, more about. So I like that. It was interesting seeing Buffy with no powers, like just being weak.
Yeah.
Because we're not really used to that. She's like the savior. It comes to save everyone. Giles, exclamation point. Just like he was so on both sides of the spectrum. Like he was so horrible for doing that to her.
Yep.
But then like every moment he was trying to like talk them out of it and not do it, and eventually didn't do it, like go through with it, and you could see how much he was like
wrestling with it.
Yeah, he was very much conflicted, and you know, Giles is very much like a by the book kind of person, but like this was too far for him because he does love her, like as his kid, and she's like so sweet. I like that we keep getting Buffy's birthday tradition, and we'll probably continue for bad birthdays for Buffy. But I like looking forward to Buffy's birthday every year.
Damn.
For bad birthdays.
Something she doesn't look forward to.
Yeah. And then Kralik is really an interesting villain, even though I feel like he could have been he could have done more episodes. Mm-hmm. He was like really interesting.
Yeah.
Like a serial murderer turned vampire.
Yeah. Super creepy.
I think he was very creepy. We will see this actor again. He will come back in season 6 as a character.
Interesting. Okay.
So that's a long time from now. But when we get there, I'll say like, "Oh, remember him? Remember Kralik from Helpless?" So you do that, get that, especially when they're vampires or they're like fully monster. Like they'll have people come back, either in like human role or like and as another monster or another vampire or another like supernatural character, because you can't really tell a lot like if it's the same actor. So we will see this guy again in season 6 as a completely different character.
I will look over him then. We'll see if I remember that in 3 seasons.
But yeah, he was great. I thought he was really interesting. Really interesting. Like, we never even, like, what was up with the pill? Like you said, like, what was up with the pills? We never found out.
Yeah, I know.
I just feel like he was, like, so complicated. Mm-hmm. And we could have, like, gone further with him. I feel like he could have had a little bit of an arc. I would have been cool with it.
He could have been around for a few episodes.
Yeah. Yeah. So he was a great one. I think he probably wasn't used to his full potential but he was good. Yeah. Like, he was insane. He was insane. Like, in a way more dangerous way than Cordelia. Drusilla is insane as a vampire, you know? Yeah. Cordelia, Drusilla, whatever. Okay, what was yours?
4.8.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. So yeah, same as you. It was a really good episode. I really did love this villain. He was super creepy. He kind of gave me, like I said, the Hannibal Lecter vibes. I really liked that. I missed the Little Red Riding Hood, so I'm glad that you pointed that out. Mm-hmm. I liked seeing the development with Giles and Buffy again, even though Giles really did disappoint me in this episode. I know he had to do that, but I don't know. Like, I know you can never really understand what you would do in someone else's shoes, but like, I feel like, I don't know, he didn't have to, but I guess, I don't know. Like, what happens if he would have just been like, no? Would they just have found another way to do it, I guess?
I don't know. They probably would have fired him either way. Like, if I said no, if I would have fired and had another watcher in. But if it had to be done on her birthday, I don't know if they just would have not been able to do it.
Or exactly.
I don't know what would have happened. But yeah, I wish Giles would have. There would have been no episode, but
yeah, I know. So I have mixed feelings on that.
Gotta have the conflict, but
yeah, I didn't like that. And just like seeing how utterly betrayed Buffy was, especially after she got the betrayal from her father. Like, oh my God, 2 big ones. Yeah, I hate seeing her like go through such like heartache on her birthday. Like, it was sad.
Yeah,
but it was a good episode. I did like it.
It was a very well done episode. Mm-hmm. Well written, like just good. It was dark. Mm-hmm. It was very good. Yeah. Okay, anything else you wanted to add?
I don't think so.
Okay, so that was Helpless. All right, so your question for next week, it's called The Zeppo, is the title.
It's a weird title.
A classic car shows up in this episode. What is it?
1965 and a half Mustang.
65 and a half? Is that what you said?
That's the first Mustang.
Is that real? Okay.
Yeah.
1965 and a half. That's funny. Okay, you said 1965 and a half Mustang. Okay. I actually don't remember off the top of my head. I looked it up. I don't remember off the top of my head, so I'll have to go look it up and see if you're right.
I mean, like,
Honestly, I don't
okay,
remember.
that's my favorite classic car, but if we're actually going to go for what they would pick, okay, this is a very broad question, so I'm gonna give a couple of answers. I'm gonna go with Mustang, but I'm also gonna go with a Chevy. Let's say, do I have to say like the make, model, year, or can I just say
whatever you want?
Okay, so I will also give Chevy as my answer. Okay,
Chevy or a Mustang. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
or
like
Mustang or Chevy.
pretty wide answer. So yeah, you'll get two.
Okay.
Give you two shots.
Okay.
So that wraps up season 3, episode 12, Helpless. Again, you can find us on all major podcast apps and YouTube and Instagram at One Girl in All the World Pod. You can email us at onegirlpod@gmail.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back next week with season 3, episode 13, The Zeppo. See you real soon.
Bye.